South Korea cloned a pair of kitties who light up with a fluorescent glow when exposed to ultraviolet light. Glow kitties.
All right, now the question is, what was all this for? Apparently there's a good reason for it. Christy Lustout has the story.
At first glance, these cats look like any normal cat, but there are two big things which make them very different. One, the cats are clones. Two, they glow in the dark. You heard right. When they're put underneath ultraviolet light, they glow a dull red. And it's no accident. Scientists manipulated the donor cat's genetic code, then passed those changes onto the clones.
It's meaningful as we introduce outside genes to transgenic cloned cats for the first time, and as they have the red fluorescent protein gene in their organs, they give off a red color.
Here's how they did it. Scientists took skin cells from a Turkish Angora female cat and used a virus to insert the genetic instructions for making red fluorescent protein. Then they put the gene-altered nuclei into eggs for cloning. After that, they implanted the eggs back into the donor cat, which effectively became the surrogate mother. Now, these glow-in-the-dark cats shine a light on what may be possible down the road.
A company has tinkered with the genetic material of salmon so the fish can grow faster and reach groceries sooner. Are eaters ready? Here's Lisa Stark.
It looks like any other salmon, but opponents call it Frankenfish and hope to keep it off your dinner plate. Here's the difference. Both these fish are 18 months old, but the larger genetically engineered Aqua Advantage salmon grows twice as fast as the regular salmon.
This is the first genetically engineered animal that would be introduced to the food supply. So it's a big deal.
Atlantic salmon grows in fits and starts, but scientists found that adding genetic material from a Pacific salmon and an eel-like fish helps them grow round the clock.
This fish is indistinguishable from the traditional foods.
How can you say it's indistinguishable, though, when it clearly has a different genetic makeup than an Atlantic salmon?
But it tastes the same, it looks the same, and the biology is exactly the same.
FDA scientists today agreed.
Aqua Advantage salmon is Atlantic salmon, and food from Aqua Advantage salmon is as safe as food from other Atlantic salmon.
Still, critics claim more studies are needed on how the fish might affect humans and the environment. For instance, what happens if these altered fish somehow make it out into the wild? Would they breed with native salmon? Would they crowd out the wild fish? The company insists there are safeguards.
They're all sterile and they're raised in physically contained facilities.
But opponents say there's no guarantee all the fish will be sterile. And there's already one case study in how the best laid plans can go awry. Canola plants used to make canola oil were genetically engineered to be resistant to weed killer. The problem, their seeds have now migrated from the company farms, carried by the wind, and perhaps by trucks taking them to market. They're now growing on the roadsides of North Dakota. Scientists worry they may create a hard-to-kill superweed. As for the genetically altered salmon, one question still on the table: will folks eat it? And will they even know what they're eating? Because the FDA has to decide if the fish will even carry a special label.
World Health Organization declaring a global health emergency.
They now expect the virus transmitted by mosquitoes, of course, could reach farther north to 30 states now.
We need the latest now in the battle against Zika.
The CDC says the virus has been linked to birth defects.
Scientists hoping to use a new weapon, genetically modified mosquitoes.
They're hot about this here. They're dead set against using this neighborhood in an experiment.
They're trying to jam this down our throat without our consent.
And they're warning that your neighborhood could be next.
Genetically modified mosquitoes to target insects that could spread the virus. But that plan is raising concerns in the neighborhood where they may be tested. And ABC's Steve Osunsami is on the scene in Key West, Florida. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, George. They're hot about this here. The families understand the effort to fight Zika and other mosquito-borne diseases, but they're dead set against using this neighborhood and their children in an experiment with genetically modified bugs.
There is news tonight about the quest for the perfect apple, one that doesn't brown when you slice it. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it's not, and it's coming to a grocery store near you. Here's ABC's Gloria Riviera.
Watch this, a time-lapse video of two seemingly identical apples. With time, the apple on the left browning as normal after cut, bruised, or bitten. The apple on the right still perfect. The difference, science. The apples are a brainchild of a small Canadian company, Okanagan Specialty Fruits. They say their Arctic apples, a version of the Granny Smith and Golden Delicious, have a suppressed enzyme that delays browning. It will still rot eventually, but stay cosmetically superior for longer. This week, the U.S. Department of Agriculture approved the Arctic apples, a genetically modified non-browning apple, deciding that they are not likely to have a significant impact on the human environment. We asked customers, how do you like them apples?
If I knew up front, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it. In fact, I'm a bit intrigued to try it.
I don't mind that they turn brown. I mean, you can do the same thing with lemon juice to keep them from browning.
Critics are concerned about misleading customers who may accidentally bite into an apple that is much older than it appears. Already, 80% of the corn and soybeans Americans consume are genetically altered. But as for these Arctic apples, the earliest you would see them in your grocery store would be 2017.